culture and values and something related to beauty maybe. I don't know.
Okay. Who wants to add to what Soumya has just shared? What do you understand by the term? Yeah, Dehini, go ahead.
So I think what Soumya said is to a great extent correct, but I mean, not only literature, I think it's uh, all the art that is produced in India, and not only its value or its meaning in accordance to the society, but also its reception maybe. So, for example, in bachelor's we studied Rasa, which a huge part of Indian aesthetics. So it's like we also studied its reception, and we also studied how it is created and what is the history of it. So
Right.
maybe.
So we are not just talking about literature, but we are talking of all arts and also perception, as Dehini says, about those arts. Okay. What else? Who would like to add? What do you understand by the term Indian aesthetics? No one. Nisarg, Preeti, Rivya, Sakina, Pooja, Hitav, Saisal. What do you understand by the term? Yeah, Hitav, go ahead.
So according to me, I would like to say that maybe it is some sort of Indian point of view or a point of view from Indian culture to look at literature and culture, possibly.
Okay, very good. So, Hitav is saying that we look at Indian literature and culture or Indian point of view, as you said. Point of view of looking at what, Hitav?
An Indian point of view to look at literature and culture.
Yes, Indian point of view of looking at literature and culture. Very good. Anything else? Anyone wants to add? Madhu, Pooja, Saisal, Subhraj, Sohan, Sakina, Rivya. No one has to say anything. Okay, so what Soumya said was that we will be looking at Indian literature and other things. And Dehini said that not just literature, but other cultural practices and also perception about that. And one of the ideas that is important to Indian aesthetics is the idea of rasa, which she has studied in her graduation, for her graduation. And then Hetav added that it is about Indian point of view of looking at literature and culture, right? So you can put all these things together and that describes the subject. and which we'll talk about at length. So don't worry about that. We'll unpack this idea critically and look at it, discuss it. And any ideas about why are we studying this at all? No one has any ideas why? तुम क्यों पढ़ रहे हैं ये? क्या लगता है आपको?
Sir, I think we already are studying many literary flavors, especially spiritual or philosophical, and some literary pieces, which is represent in many symbolic way, uh, which represent dominant emotions, theme, state of mind, essentiality in society. So I
which are
think.
those? Which texts are you talking about? Can you be specific, Christine?
No, it's not about text, sir. It's just a general view that why we want to study Indian aesthetics, because it's really representing the symbolic idea of India or the civilization, where we are including special.
So when we study texts which represent the symbolic representation of India and Indian culture, to understand that we require Indian aesthetics. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, sir, partly.
Okay. Any other ideas about why are we studying this? Yeah, Dehini.
So, sir, I'm not sure about this point, but maybe we are studying this systematically because somewhere down the line we use these Indian aesthetics because we are born in it, and we use these things to perceive the world around us. And but now,
come again? Can you repeat what you said? I didn't catch some part of your.
okay, sir, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we are studying this systematically because we have always been surrounded by Indian aesthetics in one way or the other.
Okay.
And this has influenced our perception and way of looking at things. So to study this systematically would give our thoughts or what we think about it an idea how did this come from.
Okay. So you are already immersed in cultural forms, right, which are shaped by Indian aesthetics. And so in order to make sense of that, you need to study this more systematically. Very good. Can you talk about any specific examples, Dehini?
Maybe, yeah, I can talk about. So I remember when we were in school, when we used to study Hindi as in subject, and we used to study all dohas and Kabir and everything. So we used to we used to learn it from the perspective कि अगर हम परशुराम का कोई श्लोक पढ़ रहे हैं, so you can feel anger from it and everything. Then we went to bachelor's, we studied the rasa theory, and it all started making sense. That how you start to feel certain kind of emotions when you read something and when you experience something from the art.
Right. So because you have studied rasa, you are able to better understand some of the Indian texts that you have studied, or some texts which are about India, as Tasneem was pointed out, or Indian texts like Kabir, Dohe. It starts making sense about why emotions are presented in a certain way, right? Do I get you properly?
Yes, sir.
Yes, very good, very good. Yeah, Soumya.
Sir, I think it also gives us an idea of how the literature used to be. And if you think of it from a comparative point of view, then how the same emotions used to be expressed then and how it is done now, that the influence of the West has come in. So you can also get an idea of what Indian aesthetics were, and how these ideas were conveyed from an Indian point of view before all the westernization and everything happened, and where we are today, and the literature of today.
Right. What Soumya seems to be saying, that if you look at ancient texts, ancient Indian texts, something like Dehini was saying, like Kabir or others, then you get a sense of why or how the emotions are expressed and how Indian aesthetics is driving or shaping these ancient texts. And then you can compare it with modern Indian writings to see what happened after we started assimilating or absorbing Western notions of art and literature and culture, how it changed because of those reasons. Do I get you properly, Soumya?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. And remember, all this discussion is extremely important and valid, right? It's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. We'll be putting it in a perspective, that's all. Yeah. Any other ideas?
Sir, not an idea. I just have a doubt, like what Dehini said about this Rus theory. What is it exactly? Like, I
We'll have
don't
plenty
know.
of it. Plenty of it. Don't worry.
Okay.
Well, we are going to discuss 2 essays about that in present unit, right? So we will find out. Okay. Anyone else wants to say something about the discussions we had? Okay. So very often in BA programs and MA programs, like the paper that you study very often, you're taught, for example, in BA semester 5 and 6 at MS University, we taught something called History of Criticism, History of Literary Criticism by M.A.R. Habib, right? It is titled History of Literary Criticism, starting from Plato, Plotinus, and the Christian medieval thinkers like Augustine and others, to Renaissance and Enlightenment and Neoclassicism, Romanticism, and Modernism and Postmodernism. We studied that as part of our History of Criticism paper, right? The problem with it, right, is in the title. The title said History of Literary Criticism, right? It did not say History of Western Literary Criticism, right? Which means that as if literary criticism existed only in West. It started with Plato and it died with Derrida. Something like that. It exists only in the West. Literary criticism सिर्फ वहीं पे है. कहाँ पे है? Paris में, New York में, Washington में. It does not exist in Shanghai. It does not exist in Tokyo. It does not exist in Iraq. It does not exist in Tibet. It does not exist in India. It does not exist in Arabia. Right. So Western literary criticism is given to people as if that is the literary criticism, right? That is how it is offered. That literary criticism क्या है? तो Plato, Aristotle से शुरू करो और Derrida, New Historicism and all that पांच तक. वही literary criticism. As if non-Western societies, like say for example Africa or Arabia or Iraq and Iran or India or Tibet or China, did not have traditions of thinking, discussing, evaluating, analyzing, theorizing literature. That is what has happened, right? So other traditions of knowledge outside West are considered either so unimportant that a boy in London should not be even bothered about it, right? So M.A.R. Habib ki jo textbook hai, and a person studying that in New York or in New Jersey or in Leicester or in London or Paris or Berlin need not be bothered about things like Chinese aesthetics or literature, should not be bothered about things like Indian aesthetics and literature, should not be bothered about Arabian aesthetics and literature or Persian literature and literary criticism, should not be bothered about these things. Why? Because this is the history of criticism, right? So there is certain universalistic kind of thinking about the Western civilization and culture that is promoted by Westerners, right? And it hardly happens that when, say, for example, a person in London is thinking about art and literature and music and criticism, that person is bothered about, say, for example, something like Chinese criticism or Chinese theory of literature or Arabic theory of literature or Persian theories of literature or Indian theories of literature and culture. That hardly happens. But in India, in Baroda, when we study literary criticism, we study history of literary criticism without being aware that the place where you are born and brought up in, the society in which you live, had a long tradition of producing knowledge about literature, theorizing literature and culture, and several seminal efforts were made to theorize literature, which very often anticipated Western developments long time before it happened. You are not aware of that, right? So one of the things that we want to bring in is an awareness that the Western tradition of thinking about art and culture is not the only one, right? So it is important and influential and seminal and exciting. It is not the only one, right? The other traditions of thinking about art, literature, aesthetics existed, and we should be aware of them so that we can counter the belief produced by colonial modernity and the post-colonial modernity about kind of universalism about Western critical models, right? When you study, say, for example, Derrida and a critique of metaphysics of presence or difference or whatever, you feel that you can use those ideas directly to read Kabir, for example, or to read Mahabharata, or to read, say for example, Tulsidas, or to read Rabindranath Tagore, right? The ideas that, like say for example, Foucault's idea of sexuality can be directly used to understand the history of sexuality in India, for example. The problem with certain universalisms is this, that when Kabir or Mirabai or Tagore or Mahabharata or Ramayana or Panchatantra or whatever Indian traditions of literature existed, they were working within certain theoretical frameworks of which we don't know anything about. And we are using something from Paris to read something that was written in Patna or Patan 1000 years ago, for example. And that becomes a kind of extremely problematic move. Right? When you study Marxism, Marx tells you that the whole history is the history of class conflicts. Now, when you bring it to Indian context, we find it very difficult to use that idea to understand Indian history, right? So this universalism implicit in Western paradigms is what we are questioning. In a far end of post-colonial period, right? 72 years after colonialism ended politically, right? We still carried on all these things as if these are the only things that matter, right? And it became a kind of, and the West, and if you look at the ideas of Hegel and others, then the West always posited itself as a progressive, ahead of its time kind of thing. So Indians thought that whatever is produced in the West is new and in, and so we should take it. We should use it for our sake so that we appear new. We appear progressive, right? So there was a kind of blindness in mimicry of the Western paradigms instead of treating it very critically. Now, this does not mean that we have to reject all Western thinking. It only means that we have to think about Western thinking historically as well. We have to be critical of it, see what is relevant for us, what really matters. You can't use Derrida to read Kabir, right? Because that is not the philosophical tradition in which Kabir composed his great works. To understand Kabir, you have to understand the Nath tradition, you have to understand the Siddha tradition, you have to understand Sufism, you have to understand the ideas of Advait, right, of various kinds. You have to understand the Ramayana and Nirgun tradition, for example. So Kabir is writing or composing his work within an intellectual frame, right, which is very different from, say, for example, one in which Shakespeare is writing his plays. To understand, unpack Indian literature, you need to understand the philosophical, historical, ideological frames, and also poetics and aesthetics within which Kabir or Mirabai or Tulsidas were writing. So this is one reason, right? So these are the reasons why we have started looking at Indian aesthetics. Because if you want to understand Tulsidas, it's very difficult to use Marxism to understand Tulsidas, right? I hope you get what I'm saying. So one of the reasons that we are looking at studying Indian aesthetics carefully is because if you want to understand the cultural forms around us, right? Kabir is a living tradition, unlike Shakespeare or Milton, who are only studied in academics. Kabir is sung by the poor people, right? Performed by poor people in India even today. Tulsidas is performed and read, and millions of people gather to listen to a Sundarkand Pathan, right? Katha. Billions of people, right? So it's a living tradition. It's around us. It's there. So we have to understand these traditions in their historical context critically, not blindly. We are not really interested in jingoistic nationalism, which says that this is the best because we are born into it. This is something that Andre Lefebvre was talking about. I don't know how many of you read that. Just because you happen to be born in a particular culture doesn't mean that is the best of the culture, right? Because you are born into it. So for every person who is born in some culture feels certain kind of pride in that culture. So we are not really interested in that kind of pride. We are interested in cultural histories that have shaped our society because we are born and brought up in them. And in order to understand our own societies and cultures, you have to understand these histories. Just like to understand Shakespeare, we have to understand cultural history within which Shakespeare is writing. In order to understand our own cultural forms, you have to understand cultural histories that have shaped these texts, right? Because without that, you won't be able to figure out why the things are the way they are. For example, I have heard of many people complain that Hindi film has too many songs and that its plots are very often not probable enough. How many of you have heard of this? Hindi film के plots ज़्यादा probable नहीं होते और they are not very, what should I say? They are full of songs. Now, why does that happen?
It is true. I mean, we do say this thing कि if you're watching a Bollywood movie, तो logically सोचना ही नहीं है. I mean, just go with the flow. जो हो रहा है, just take it and don't use your brain while watching a Bollywood movie.
बराबर. और जब आप एंटमैन देखते हो तब इंसान एंट कितना कैसे होता है लॉजिकली वो आपको पता है.
Yeah.
And that's why that Marvel is, even if it talks about stupid things, it is still logical and rational, right? But Hindi film में अगर कुछ होता है तो you don't accept that. Why does that happen?
Because
Can
we
anyone
lack
tell?
creativity.
Yeah.
Because our directors and everyone lack creativity. I think everything
Because
is
we
just
lack
a rip-off.
creativity. Very true. And the West is full of creativity. Yeah. Marvel superheroes.
No, not just Marvel, but if you look at certain movies that they have made, not Marvel movies, but certain Hollywood movies, or not just Hollywood, even Korean dramas or Russian movies, they do have certain, uh, creativity that makes you kind of like think about it for the second. For example, Inception, dream within the dream within the dream. It's a concept and it's something that you can think about. So I'm not saying like Hollywood is the best or like makes the best movies, but it does have people that do come up with good concepts or ideas.
So if you show a woman turn into a fly, right, then you are not going to accept it in TV series. Man comes back after his death. Yeah, Nisar, bolo. Yes, why Superman is more interesting than Shaktiman? Very true. To you, right, Nisar? I don't know if you have read something in the newspapers yesterday or the day before that the next film of James Bond, No Time to Die, is going to be dubbed into Gujarati. क्यों करते होंगे ये सब लोग? Dehini, go ahead.
Yeah, so initially, of course, we especially when we were in school, there was this whole craze of Western movies, Hollywood, mainly Hollywood, and because we used to only see the movies which were very famous in the US, or यहाँ पे आके it used to feel that this is something completely new and we have never seen it. वो तो उसके बाद जाके हमको पता चलता है कि वहां पे भी कचरा है, यहाँ पे भी कचरा है, but we just see the good parts of it. I mean the parts that are popular here. But उस time पे because this is something not ours and we have idealized the like Hollywood cinema so much that we
My
used to.
question was different before that. मैंने एक सवाल पूछा कि जेम्स बॉन्ड की नेक्स्ट मूवी डब होने वाली है गुजराती में भी, तो वो क्यों करते होंगे?
So sir, I mean Gujarati लोग, I mean people who don't understand English that well वो समझ पाए.
तो वो कितने लोग होंगे? What percentage of people don't know English in India or in Gujarat?
Don't know English नहीं, but sir ऐसा हो सकता है that I am more comfortable in Gujarati than in English.
What is the
So
percentage? What percentage do you think? Does anyone have some idea? What is the percentage of people whose English, who are not comfortable in English or don't know English, can't understand English movies? कितने percentage लोग होंगे?
Sir, around 70 to 80%.
70 to 80%? Sure.
Well, sir, you showed the data about it once in the Indian comparative app.
Yeah, Nisar, बताओ कितने होंगे?
Sir, 30%, 30 to 40%.
30 to 40%, okay. See, the data says that every year around 10 lakh students appear for SSC exams in Gujarat. 10 lakh students बैठते, out of which 1 lakh students roughly are from English medium. That is the statistics. Right, so people who would be really comfortable in English forms 1/10 of the population. So in a country of 134 crore people, around 13.5 crore people would be comfortable watching English movies in English, right? Which is a huge market, bigger than probably Britain. I don't know. Yeah. इंग्लैंड में जितने लोग इंग्लिश नहीं बोलते उससे ज्यादा लोग इंडिया में बोलते हैं, 14 करोड़ लोग शायद. But there are 111 crore people, right, who can't speak or are not at all used to English. 112 करोड़ इस देश का पॉपुलेशन ऐसा है जो इंग्लिश नहीं जानता पिक्चर देखने के लिए, right? So the Bond film is being dubbed into Gujarati to access Gujarati market, right? Which is huge. The reason I brought this up because English medium students feel that the whole world is made of English speakers. They live in that kind of bubble, an elite bubble, right? An imaginary bubble, which get burst often, but still they carry this bubble of elite 1% population who feel that their access to Hollywood film is the universal access. In India, in Gujarat, right? The point I'm trying to tell you is that Bollywood films, which you don't like because they are full of songs and improbable situations, are not made for you. They are made for 112 crore population who cannot access Korean film or a Hollywood film, right? It is for them, 90% of India, right? So the question that I'm now going to rephrase is, then why does it have all those improbable things and like 100 people joining somebody who is dancing and singing? For no reasons, people break into song and dance, and they are joined by hundreds of flash mob from nowhere, right? Bollywood invented flash mobs way before they were popular, right? It's Bollywood invented that 60, 70 years ago. Why does that happen?
Yeah, that happens to enhance the emotional intensity of a lot of things. Like one thing that comes to my mind is 2 days back or something, I was watching Kal Ho Na Ho, and there is a scene where Jaya Bachchan is crying and Preeti Zinta is crying, and Shah Rukh Khan is right behind them. Any sane person would be able to see that he's standing literally where their table ends. He's standing right there. But since they are crying about him, they have to show him somewhere, and they show him right behind them, watching them, and they cry, and he looks, and you just see, okay, oh my God, it's because of him that they're crying, and he's right there, and he looks and he hears it, but he can't do anything about it. So that is a very improbable situation, because anyone would be able to see that there is a person standing right where you're crying, but they don't, and they just go away. So that is just to give and to enhance the emotional intensity of the scene. Same
Does
with
it
dance.
enhance or does it push? Does it put you off? Does it enhance?
It would put me off, because I know okay, that's just stupid. I mean, why don't you see? But if you watch it for the first time when I was a kid, it would probably make me cry. Okay, oh no, that's just sad. He's standing right there. So once you are aware of these things, okay, I mean, why can't you see he's in your range? But you like at the first go, it does when you're really you're going with the flow of the movie. So it does give you that the enhanced emotional intensity.
Okay, so answer to this improbability of the situations that you face in Bollywood. Yeah, Prutha, bolo. Lack of creativity hai na Prutha?
No, not just lack of creativity, but in
Stupidity.
like older movies, like the time of Kishore Kumar or Madhubala and all, those movies where Soumya said were actually like enhancing the scene. Like they were like they made sense when when they put songs in the movies. It made sense for this song called as Acha Chalo Maan Bhi Jao Kake song. It's something the song is sung by Madhubala, and she's actually conveying what she feels to her partner. So in a sense,
But
that
why do you
song
think
makes
there are
sense.
songs in first place at all? West में तो
Enhances
नहीं
the
है.
emotions, as Soumya said, and they are profitable. Commercially, they are profitable. And these days, they have become like they've
That music has
increased.
a large market in India, right? And
Yes, sir.
that market excludes you because you think it is stupid. भाई के
No,
films चलते 300 करोड़ 400 करोड़. Now all these people are idiots. Maybe you can say that. But I will explain you why this happens. Because all the answers to most of the questions lie in history. 2,500 years ago, in the West, there was this strange man called Aristotle. Aristotle is trying to canonize Western storytelling tradition. The West means the Greek storytelling tradition. And he lays down a canon, right? A kind of rule that has become since then difficult to break. Right? And that rule goes something like this, that the plot, he says, should follow the rules of probability and necessity. Right? There should be nothing in the plot which should not be improbable or unnecessary. That became over a period of time an iron rule. So even if you're trying to show how a particular person turns into Spider-Man and starts climbing the walls, you have to bring in scientific nonsense to show how he mutated, how his blood mutated into an incredible Hulk ya kuch bhi. You have to provide rational, logical, scientific probability to something which is improbable, to make it look probable, right? And these laws of probability and necessity are not really literary laws. They are laws of the world, right? So life may not be probable, or in our life, if you look at it actually, then it has a lot of unnecessary elements and also improbable elements, right? If you look at our lives closely. But the fiction and fictional plot should have probability and necessity at its core. So if you show a song in Hollywood, then that song has to be sung by that actress or actor, and then it classifies under the genre of musicals. When Madhubala sings in the song that you're talking about, she is not singing, it's playback that is given. Right. So how come all of a sudden Madhubala's singing talents and her voice became that of Lata Mangeshkar is still improbable. I hope you get what I'm saying. So laws of probability and necessity became core of Western storytelling tradition after Aristotle. That's the iron laws. So even today you will find and then he distinguishes between simple plot and complex plot, unities of time, place, and action. He goes on to theorize plot in certain way, which became normative for everyone to follow. Anybody who is conversant with classical theater and Aristotle should be following his laws, right? And that became established in Western culture. That's why you had films which ran up to 1 hour and 30 minutes, because you're not putting anything that is improbable or unnecessary in the plot, right? So probabilism, which is the core rule of Western storytelling tradition, did not exist in other parts of the world, including India. So Indian storytelling traditions don't highlight or don't emphasize probability and necessity as its most important values. They are not the core values of storytelling on this subcontinent, because there was no person called Aristotle. What we had was theory of rasa, right? If almost contemporary of Aristotle would be the text called Natya Shastra, which we'll look at in certain detail, which says that the gods and the Asur and Dev were fed up with war. So they wanted some entertainment. And so they wanted to have something for entertainment. And that's why they went to the Lord Brahma. And Brahma said that here, take this thing called Natya. Natya is from Nritya, dance, right? Choreography. So theater for India is a kind of extension of dance. Something like ballet, which is storytelling using dance, right? So Indian theater emerges as an extension of dance and music. And one of the core principles of this was that it should have rasa in it. Ras is flavor, juice, ras, right? Mango का रस हो, रस का मतलब जूस और सैप भी हो सकता है, या रस का मतलब अल्केमी में होता है. रस is used for those juices which confer immortality on you. In Indian alchemic tradition, there is alchemy. Does anyone know alchemy? Has anyone heard of alchemy?
Yes, sir.
What is alchemy? Alchemy क्या है? You don't know what is alchemy?
So it's like it's believed to be
magic
something.
using chemical substance. No, yeah.
Yeah, I was saying something similar. It's close to. I mean, it's believed to be close to chemistry, and I don't know, the most common association is
Exactly, alchemy
the
क्या है?
way to turn not so valuable metal into gold. That's the most common association.
Not valuable material को gold में कैसे convert करना है, तो उसकी chemistry को alchemy कहते हैं, right? And many so rus was that substance which transformed gold into iron into gold, right? In Indian alchemical traditions of siddhas, siddh people were the people who were interested in alchemy in ancient India, right? So Bharat's Natya Shastra, ascribed to Rishi Bharat, talks about ras as the core element, and he says something that will explain what is a Hindi film for you. He says that just like we take some masala, some vegetable, thoda pani, thoda नीम का जूस, थोड़ा जैगरी, शुगर, ये सब इंग्रेडिएंट्स मिला के आप सब्जी बनाते हो ना, करी बनाते हो, वैसे अलग अलग कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ रस मिला के you produce an aesthetic impact, right? So it is kind of formula for making a tasty dish, and human tongue is called rasana in Sanskrit. Rasana यानी जो रस को चख सकती है, वो रसना है, right? So, and he uses this for recipe So artistic effect or aesthetic effect is produced by right recipe. If you get this recipe right, then your play will be successful as an artistic piece. Right? That is the formula. So if you look at Bollywood cinema today, they add various ingredients. थोड़ी comedy आ जाती है, थोड़ी tragedy आ जाती है, रोना धोना बहुत आता है, या fighting आ जाती है, songs आ जाते हैं. You put all that together, अगर वो जम गया तो चलता है, नहीं जमा तो नहीं चलता. Right? It's a recipe. So Indian theory of art, creativity is based on how to make a proper dish. And you can see how it is very different from Aristotle's theory of probability and necessity as the core elements of storytelling. And that's why Soumya feels it is illogical that somebody is standing next to or at the back and two girls are crying. It's so improbable, right? But that probability is never the criteria. The criteria is whether it produces rasa, right? I hope you get what I'm saying. So the point that I'm making is that the contemporary storytelling traditions in Hindi cinema have taken a lot from folk theatre that existed in India. It has taken a lot from Parsi theatre, which had absorbed a lot of folk elements. And it had also absorbed a lot of Western elements. Parsi theatre was mid-19th century development in Bombay and in Bombay Presidency. So Parsis used to have theatres where they would put up Shakespeare in Gujarati, but with Indian masala to it, right? So even if Indians want to take a Western idea, it has to be cooked in Indian way to make it palatable. So you may have something like Jain hamburger, right? Shocking idea, right? Jain hamburger यानी क्या होगा? Yeah, Jain sausage, right? Vegetarian sausage. So you are preparing you are taking some ingredients from the West, but you are making it suitable for Indian palates. That's why so-called copies of Western films also require song and dance sequence and a lot of masala. And in fact, masala is the term used to describe Bollywood cinema, right? And that goes back to 2,500-year-old tradition of storytelling in India. So one of the reasons that we are studying Indian aesthetics is to understand, to get outside of this elite bubble produced by English studies, to step into the cultural realities in which we are born, to make sense of them historically, right? I would be interested in Korean narrative traditions to understand Korean drama. I won't use the canons of Hollywood to understand Korean drama, right? So cultural forms are shaped by the traditions, narrative traditions, philosophical traditions, aesthetic traditions in which it is produced. You cannot understand Shakespeare without understanding Aristotle, right? In same way, you cannot understand Indian literary texts, especially ancient ones, without understanding Indian aesthetics. So what's the big deal about it, right? So what do you take from this discussion? And because we are so exposed to Western canons, we feel that Indians are stupid, but the reality is we are stupid because we don't have any idea of the narrative traditions in which we are born and brought up. So who
So
is really
actually,
stupid is something that
this
we are.
is what I was thinking when Dehini said lack of creativity. That's what I was
But
thinking, that
Dehini
it's
didn't
not
say that. Dehini didn't say that. It's a tucka
Tasneem
from.
or
So
okay.
Indian creativity is different from Western creativity.
Yeah, so it's basically different, not lack. That is difference.
And
Secondly, I mean,
if you are judging Indian dal by
yeah,
Western
yeah.
modes of cooking, then that is
Hmm.
stupid, right?
Yeah. And secondly, when that's what I meant when I said that is to increase the emotional intensity, it is not a bad thing that they're doing, it's just a different thing. So, the
So we
reason
are going
why,
to unpack that formula.
yeah, yeah,
It's a Rasa Sutra.
yeah, because emotions have always been at the center of Indian cinema. So, that is
Exactly.
the reason why all of this is there. So, yeah.
For example, this used to bother me that why are Indian films so sentimental? Why is there so much excessive show of emotions? But I can understand that when I read Bharat's Natya Shastra. Right?
Also, today's discussion like kind of resonates with the discussion we had in comparative Indian literature, where we were actually talking about some Indian authors who actually want to prove or show something which is geographically in India, but they would use the Western literary theories or criticisms and stuff. So like kind of very similar to what you talked about today, and like how to show which is something in India, we have to use Indian traditions or Indian culture or Indian aesthetics in general. So
So
we
people who are born, who have grown up liking pizza may not like idli, right? Because it doesn't taste like pizza. Now, that is weird, right? So that is also one
But
of the
sir,
reasons why we are looking into this. Yeah, go ahead.
but sir, now that we are exposed to a lot of things out in the world, so maybe even though we are born into a
Who is
culture,
we? Who is we, Tehini? Who
no,
are
no,
you
I mean
speaking of?
us, just the people who
10%
are
of
in the class.
population or
No, 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 just
134?
10%.
The people in the bubble, right?
Yeah, the people in the bubble. The people in the bubble are exposed to a lot of things, and maybe they choose to not like
I'm
the
fine with that.
over
I'm fine with
sentimental.
that. But I'm just telling you that it should not be out of ignorance and stupidity. You can say, I love pizza, right? But you should know that I don't like idli because it doesn't taste like pizza is a stupid state. उतना पता चलना चाहिए. उतना ही मैं मांग रहा हूँ आप लोगों से, ज्यादा कुछ नहीं मांग रहा हूँ. मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ आप पिज्जा छोड़ दो. मैं सिर्फ ये कह रहा हूँ, you don't like idli because you don't know how it's made, or people have grown up in that tradition and culture. For them, it's way of life. Idli is a way of life, right? For some people, it's pizza. It's the way of life. So you should know that because 10% of the population, which is huge, right? 13 करोड़ लोगों की बात कर रहे हैं, जो इंग्लैंड से ज्यादा है, right? But you should know why texts are translated or dubbed into Gujarati or Telugu or Hindi. And when they sound ridiculous, even in Hindi, right? And we laugh at dubbings. But now you should not laugh at the dubbing, because you should know that it's not meant for you. For you, there is original which you can go and watch. There's nothing wrong in that. But what about 90% other people, which is 90% of the market? And those guys are not interested in you, they are interested in the market, right? So that is one background conversation that we are having about Indian aesthetics. So what are you taking away from today's conversation before we stop? So सुपरमैन की इंग्लिश फिल्म देख नहीं सकते लोग ज्यादा. उनको शक्तिमान is far more popular in India at his time than Superman was, because Superman spoke New York English, and Shaktiman spoke Patna Hindi. What are your responses, reactions before we stop the discussion? ये जो बबल है इंग्लिश का, उसे ही मैं सब्ट्रैक्टिव बाइलिंगुअलिज्म कहता हूँ, राइट? जो जानता ही नहीं कि लोग क्या लैंग्वेजेस जानते हैं. People who can't access other languages around you. No response. You have nothing to say. Add, observe about today's conversation.
Sir, I just feel that the reason why we say कि logic nahi hai and all that. In Superman, they give you a reason कि this is his superpower, the reason that he can fly. So
He
there
is
is
an
a reason
alien,
for
right?
that too. Yeah, I mean, uska they would give you a background reason for that कि they
और कोई
have
ऐसा
set a
पूछता
whole.
नहीं, कोई ऐसा पूछता नहीं कि सिर्फ
Yeah,
चश्मा
कि
लगाने और हेयर स्टाइल बदलने से कैसे वो छुप सकता है, राइट?
yeah, so that is it. Na?
Why?
That is
Because you
they have
cannot
set a
question West. You don't
no,
have
they
that
have set
guts to question the West, to point out that they are idiots. अपने कहने की
yeah,
हिम्मत
but
नहीं है.
that is their narrative, na sir, ki they have set a whole other universe where this is possible. That is their explanation ki this is fiction and this is matlab a
Good.
different universe.
But you don't
So
accept the fact that in our universe that people can break out in song and dance.
yeah, so that is when we relate that to our life ki okay, in this universe if I am dancing, why would 100 people dance with me? I can't, there is no reason for that to happen, but they are giving you a reason ki it's a different universe, so anything can happen and you
Right.
buy it.
But we don't need, for us it's natural. I don't see anything unnatural in songs in Hindi cinema because that's what we have grown up watching.
Yeah.
Right? Songs नहीं आएंगे तो ये awkward लगेगा मुझे. कहाँ पे आ गया इसमें? कहीं पे गलत थिएटर में तो नहीं आ गए. Yes.
नहीं मतलब सर हमने सुपरमैन को भी अप्रिशिएट किया था, हमने क्रिश को भी अप्रिशिएट किया था. तो सर
बिल्कुल, पर बहुत बार ऐसे प्रेजुडिसेस होते हैं बबल में रहने वालों के बाकी सब इडियोटिक है, सिर्फ वेस्ट में करते. सफेद चमड़ी वाले जो करते हैं वो ग्रेट होता है, क्योंकि हमारे ऊपर सफेद चमड़ी वालों ने राज किया था 200 साल. सब क्रिएटिविटी उनके ही पास होती है, हमारे पास कुछ होता ही नहीं है ऐसे. So creativity is not in absolute terms. Creativity also has cultural, historical contexts, right? You cannot understand creativity outside of its historical, cultural context. So my argument would also be that when you enjoy a Western film, Hollywood film, you are missing out on 70% of its subtext. So subtext you are not able to access. That's why when in first year I told some of the students that Harry Potter is a political statement, unko shock laga. It's about politics. They were shocked. because they thought that this is about fantasy and magic and escape and all that. But it was about multicultural Britain and racism, right? The whole question of pure blood and mixed blood, and evil as something about purity of blood in multicultural Britain, and the school also is multicultural. So politics of multiculturalism in Britain before Brexit was what Harry Potter was about. So it was an intervention in the Brexit debate as well, which it lost. Because Brexit did happen, right? And people do believe in pure white blood. और migrants लोगों का खून नहीं है. People did not understand this subtext. So our understanding of Western culture is often very superficial when we enjoy that. So our understanding of Western forms is superficial and our understanding of our own forms is zero. That's where we are. We are double idiots. Twice over. Yeah. Anything you have to say, or we meet on Saturday? I will explain you the syllabus and how are we going to proceed, right? Done?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So have a nice day and we meet on Saturday.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.